All right, I had the big guys in a squeeze for time tonight, so we are getting this in. I'm going to tell you, as you can see looking at the screen above me here, the spreadsheet is not all the way done. I get my, just a lot like I do the golf ownership. I pull ownership from about 3 or 4 different places to get a good idea of where it's at. That stuff's not in yet, and I kind of need to get this video out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of walk you through the plays and the games I like, as this MVP video always does. But the ownership, I'm going to put that out, that spreadsheet later, so be looking for that maybe late tonight, definitely first thing in the morning. I would say the ownership in college football is not near as important because there's just so many fucking games to pick from that ownership doesn't tend to pool. Now, yeah, that when it was week 0 and it was like a 6-game slate with one shootout game, yeah, the ownership pools. But, I mean, you got so many legit games tomorrow that could go off. I think your best bet is going to be picking the games that you like, probably 2 games, and just correlating the shit out of them. That's what I would do. Although I will tell you, I'm going to play a ton of cash tomorrow. I play about 75% cash and about 25% GPP at college football because I just feel really good about cash. So far, I've done cash 6 times. I've hit 4.3 out of those 6 times. I've seen some of you say you're about on that same rate. So if we're going to hit about 70% of the time on cash, you got to get there because that's one of the few times you're ever a plus EV play on any given DFS slate. So with that said, I'm going to talk about these games. I'm just going to go through and talk about the colored ones here. Try not to make this too long. This game, this Georgia-South Carolina game, I hate it. I'm going to stay away from it. I don't think South Carolina's got the guns to score on Georgia. They're not going to push Georgia. Maybe one of these running backs goes off because it's Georgia and they're probably going to rush for 300 yards. Stetson Bennett seems like he has a very, very safe 20-point floor tomorrow. He'll probably throw 2 touchdowns, 290 yards, something like that. Scamper for a few yards. So I have him as a cash play, but honestly, when it comes to cash, I'm more of I like guys with high floors, which I think Stetson Bennett has, but I also like guys with high ceilings, and I just don't think he has a high ceiling. So I know I have him labeled as cash on there, and I don't think he's a disgusting cash play. I think that's just more reflective of I didn't think he was a high upside play, and I also wouldn't play him at GPPs. But to not have the quarterback for the best team in the country so far on there, I at 7,300, I think it's a little short-sighted. I don't give a fuck if he was a walk-on. If you need an absolute punt, check out Wells Jr. from South Carolina. I'd just stand away from that game. I don't like it. There's just such better games to get in out there. This OU-Nebraska game, I think in years past under Lincoln Riley, this would have been a smash spot to just stack Sooners and run it back with Cornhuskers. But I have a sneaking suspicion this game's going to be something like, 27-17 or something like that. I think it's going to be dramatically. I'm talking 15 to 20 points lower than people are expecting. I will say Eric Gray over on FanDuel. You'll notice I put that little green marker there. He's only 6,800 over on FanDuel. Remember, FanDuel pricing is almost like, $1,900 more per player? So over on FanDuel, he is a very, very, very viable choice at cash. Over on DraftKings at 7,500, no way I'm playing him at cash. He just doesn't get enough touches. He's not durable enough, and he doesn't get the goal line work. Gabriel and Mims are both very safe to get points tomorrow, but like at those salaries, I don't think they have the upside to really justify putting them in my cash lineup. If this game shoots out, yeah, maybe. This Grant guy, he checks all the boxes. He's on the field all the time. He's just on the field. He gets tons of touches. What else do you want? But I think there's a narrative out there that OU's defense sucks, and that might not be the case this year, especially their D-line. So I think he's safe for a lot of touches. I don't know how safe he is to have a big game, though. But with those touches at 6,200, you got to put him as cash, right? Palmer, he's your punt. If you think that game's going to shoot out, run it back with Grant and Palmer, right? Moving on over here. This is one of the games that I really like. As you can see, it's in purple. Okay, I know there's a lot of color coding going on here. It's going to be even more once I get the ownership in there, you motherfather. But Purdue, Purdue's already shown some ability to shoot out. Don't forget that Penn State game. They were up and down the field with those guys. This Jones guy is insane. 14 targets. By the way, just so you know, these are the averages per game, right? He doesn't have 14 targets on the season. He averages 14 targets per game. Wells Jr. doesn't have 9 targets on the season. He averages 9 targets per game. So that's pretty significant, right? 14 targets. You got to think he's going to catch at least 9 of those. If he keeps averaging 14 targets, 9 catches, 120 yards, I mean, that's just already a monster game, right? That's already 24 points, even if he doesn't find the end zone. So I really like him in cash. He's a great spin-up option at wide receiver. This quarterback from Syracuse, Schrader, I mean, you're going to give me a starting quarterback in a game with an implied total of 30.5. I don't care if he's not that great of a quarterback. He runs enough with his legs. He's going to get enough throwing opportunities. At 6,400 in a game that could potentially shoot out, I feel like he has a very safe 18-point floor. That's a game. That's a good game. This is another good game. This Western Kentucky. Don't forget Western Kentucky was the week 0 team that everybody thought was going to shoot out, right? And now they're playing Indiana, who we know has a very competent offense. I really like Shivers, the running back from Indiana. He's on the field a ton. You can see he's out there. He even gets targeted occasionally. I like Camper. He's definitely their number 1 receiver, averaging 14 targets a game, and he's only 4,800 in a game where they have a 34-point implied total. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Bringing it back, I mean, I don't really think you need to worry about bringbacks and stacks and cash. Matter of fact, I almost think it's dumb because if that stack or that game doesn't get there, your cash lineup's essentially fucked. So I almost like to play 8 independent pieces in my cash lineup. But I will say this Davis guy, this is that guy, the super chalk guy from week 1 that got there, or week 0 that got there, only 5,200 in a game for a team with a 28-point implied total. I like it. Cincinnati and Miami of Ohio, only play this if you're thinking some crazy GPP stack. This McClellan guy at 3,700 probably does have big upside, but fuck, I mean, what's the upside there? I just don't. Cincinnati's kind of a Manila team. I don't love it. This is one of my sneaky shootout games over here. South Alabama. If South Alabama can somehow find 28, 31 points, something like that, outshoot their total, and they push UCLA. UCLA's under that Chip Kelly offense, and they can move the ball. And I already did Charbonnet in week 0 for cash, and he fucking smashed for me. He's a usage monster, and he's only 6,300. You gotta love that. I'm not a big fan of DTR just because he doesn't pass very well, but he just gets so many safe points with his legs. And if this game does shoot out, he starts to become a nuts play in a GPP. Like he's a 45-point kind of guy in the right environment. Problem is, who do you stack him with? I'll tell you this, he's a lot like Lamar. I ain't stacking him with more than 1 receiver. I'm not doing it, Bob. Cal Notre Dame, get the fuck out of here. I'll tell you this Estime guy, I wanted to put him, I had him as cash originally at 3,000, but man, Notre Dame's splitting their carries pretty evenly among all 3 running backs. And then I thought I'll put him at high upside, but like, what's really your high upside in a 3-way split? So I just put him as a guy that, could go off. If it's a blowout, maybe he gets all the 3rd and 4th quarter work. It's about the best I can think. But, the team total, they're only favored by 10. That doesn't reek of blowout to me. So I'm going to stay away from that. It reminds me of that Hampton situation with North Carolina a few weeks ago, if you remember that. Penn State Auburn, I don't like this game. This is another game kind of like OU Nebraska. I think it's going to be lower scoring than people want. If you want to get a part of this game, I would get Bigsby. I think that he could have a big game, and Schenker at that price tag is very appealing. But I just don't like it. I don't like this game. These wide receivers, everybody from Penn State is priced very, very fairly. Very fairly. But if I don't think it's going to be a shootout game, I don't want any part of them in my cash lineups or my GPP. So that's it. But I will say Clifford, Tinsley. I mean, honestly, every single one of these guys is priced fairly, especially Tinsley, still getting 8.5 targets a game at 5,800. Get the fuck out of here. All right, sneaky game. This is another one of those ones. If Georgia Tech can push Ole Miss, this starts to become a dream scenario if you're playing Ole Miss guys, because their guys are inherently underpriced. I'm not sure why. Evans isn't getting the workload that I thought he would get, but he's the most talented, probably the most talented running back in the country, if I'm going to be honest. And his backup Judson is only 3,500, and he's getting all kinds of action too. So I feel like both of them are viable plays. This Trigg guy getting 6 targets a game. He's that transfer from USC, Michael Trigg. He is 3,400. He's kind of a tight end wide receiver hybrid. That's something worth considering. If this game shoots out, someone's got to score all those fucking points. Don't love their quarterback situation. Georgia Tech, I think Sims is a pretty viable play here. As you can see, they're not afraid to pass the ball a little bit. He'll get it out there, and at 6,000 in a game where you think they can push Ole Miss, well, then you play him. All right, I think these next two are probably, well, I mean, obviously they're 2 of my favorite games because they're in purple, right? These are the kind of games you want to target. I know Wright fucked a lot of you over at Cash last week, but you got to forget. Okay, this is a lot more favorable matchup, right? He's not going against, who the fuck were they playing last week? Wake Forest. Wake Forest has some players, right? NIU does not have players like Wake Forest has players, right? Wake Forest won double-digit games in a Power 5 conference last year. So I like Wright to bounce back. You got to remember, he gets a lot of work done with his legs. So maybe pair him up with one of his receivers. Maybe a Shepard, maybe a McGowan, something like that. Run it back with this Brown guy. He has big upside, I think. If this game shoots out, I think Brown gets there. This is a sneaky game. This is one of those ones you could probably run the quarterbacks from both teams and maybe get away with it. And no one's going to run that stack. This game, I love the BYU side. Okay, as you can tell, I have 3 of them in cash. I'll probably be playing Hall, Roberts, and Hill. But notice Roberts and Hill both have asterisks by them. There is Romney and Nakua, their top 2 receivers. Nakua was really good to us in cash. What was that, a week ago? 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. But he got hurt. And so they're both game time decisions. If those 2 play, or even one of them plays, I think it greatly diminishes the value of Roberts and Hill. If those guys don't play, you almost have to have one, if not both of them in your cash lineup, right? It just makes the rest of your lineup so good when you can throw a $3,200 guy in that you know is going to get at least 7 or 8 targets, something like that, right? In a game with an implied team total of 27. So probably not a smart move to stack them both, but yeah, I would definitely play one of them in cash. And if one, either Romney or Nakua plays, well, then you probably go play the safer one. And I'm pretty sure Hill's been getting on the field more, but Roberts has been getting targeted more, but maybe Water finds its balance there. You just have to pick the right one, to be honest. Yes, I have Nix as a cash play. I think he fucking sucks. I think he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the country. However, he is a quarterback for a team with a 31-point total in a competitive environment. And he can run a little bit. I mean, it's just really hard for him to not be able to get 16 points. If he gets 16 points, he's already 3x, right? That's a very safe floor, and he probably has 25-point upside. So as much as it disgusts me, if Nix fits in your super flex, you got 5,500 left, you love the rest of your lineup, you could probably do worse than throwing him in there, right? Over here, this Colorado-Minnesota game, I hate it. Minnesota's going to win this game like 38-3. Colorado sucks. Ibrahim is a great play, but man, at 9,400, he has to get 25. He has to get 25, and I still think they're kind of watching him and limiting him back. So I don't love it, but if some of the cash pricing is so soft, you can probably afford to get him in there. And even if he doesn't deliver 3x, even if he does 2.5x at that price, you're probably still pretty happy, right? Moving over to the FanDuel slate here. Wait, I'm lying. This is also a DraftKings slate. As you can see, the prices are on DraftKings, you dumbass. This KU game, I think a lot of people think this is going to be a sneaky shootout. I'm not convinced that Kansas is that good yet. They're fucking Kansas. I'm currently building a dynasty with them on a video I've been trying to make for over a week, and they fucking suck. There's the truth. But if you think they're going to shoot out, all their guys, Neal, Daniels, and Grimm are all kind of usage monsters. They start to become a great stack. And then we know Houston. You can always run Toon, Campbell, Dell, and Golden out there. Or if you really want to punt, the man Jack. Something to consider. Now we're over to the FanDuel thing here. This Mississippi State LSU game, I think LSU sucks. I think Mississippi State's decent. So give me Rodgers at quarterback. Maybe LSU pushes them. Maybe it's a boring game. Maybe it's a shootout. I don't know. I think you have to at least consider this game. Give me Rodgers on one side. But don't forget, they run the ball very effectively. And then maybe run it back with Daniels. Ohio State is going to blow the shit out of, that's a very weird statement, out of Toledo. I couldn't even come up with the Toledo guy I'd want to play. I didn't put any OSU receivers on there. They spread the ball too much, and all their salaries are so high that if they don't catch 2 touchdowns or have 150 yards with 8 catches, they just don't get there. So I just went with, he spreads the ball around. Give me the 2 running backs. Maybe one of them goes ham for 200 yards or something like that. Texas Tech, 10-point underdogs to NC State. Texas Tech, historically has one of those shoot-it-out kind of offenses. Their wide receivers all really suck. If you have to pick one, go with Bradley. Smith is their backup quarterback. Don't forget that their other quarterback, what the fuck is his name? Of course I'm forgetting his name. But NC State, they have a very nice safe team total. Leary at only 8,700 is a great price. Thomas is good. Both the running backs are good. And with that team total in a competitive environment, you've got to figure a lot of the NC State guys get there. I think the game you certainly want to target on this slate is you want to get as much of this SMU Maryland game as you can. Here's the problem with Little Tua is he's fucking hard to pair. I mean, if you want to go pick Jarrett or Demas or who the fuck's the other one? They have so many random wide receivers he throws to. I think you could get away with running Little Tua naked and then running him against Mordecai and Rice or something like that, because SMU has a legit offense. This is going to be a legit game. They have some running backs that could get there too. This is a game you want to stack. You could easily run four guys from this game and then go run 4 guys from another game. Florida, Richardson's a beast. You got to love him for cash. Both are running backs. They split a little too much to be my taste. Pearsall and Henderson seem to be the guys that are on the field the most, but they do seem to rotate a lot. Bohannon has good usage. Mangum has good usage. And Weaver has good usage, but they've really sucked so far. And with a 17.5 total, I don't know if I love that game. And then lastly, Michigan State, Washington. This one has a really good team total, a competitive environment, and I can't really tell you why I don't love this game. I just don't. I don't. If I had to play somebody, I would probably be pretty interested in the Penix Jr. from Washington, but I don't really love. I mean, I put McMillan on there, but I don't love pairing him. Plus, let's face it, most of you are playing DraftKings and not FanDuel, and I like the DraftKings slate a lot more. The contests are better, and I feel like the cash game prices are better. So there you go. And don't forget, Gray is a very legitimate running back over on FanDuel. He is not a cash play on DraftKings. All right, that's it. Don't forget, this ownership will be out. I'll go update all the ownership for all the different sites, hopefully late tonight after Showdown Hoedown and me and John Galt do our videos. But no fucking promises, brother. All right, man, that's it. I'll talk to you later.